Hello everyone, welcome back to the Tsinfo YouTube channel. In this video, I will describe some of the string functions in an instant cloud flow using the Power Automate. So these are the functions that I was going to cover in this video, like Power Automate concat function, Power Automate formatDateTime function, Power Automate getFutureTime function, Power Automate date difference function, and Power Automate addToTime function, Power Automate getPastTime function, Power Automate isFloat function, Power Automate formatNumber function, and finally Power Automate slice functions. These all functions have different functionality in the Power Automate, which will be useful during our flows or to extract the result from the flows. Like these functions makes our work easy in our day-to-day life. So let's see the functionality of these functions, how it will behave, and what is the functionality and syntax and operations it will perform in the Power Automate flow. So first I will open Power Automate homepage. For that, in the browser, type make.powerautomate.com. See here, it will directly navigate to the Power Automate homepage because I have already logged in with my Microsoft credentials in this browser. So it will directly open the Power Automate homepage here. First, I will explain Power Automate concat function in an instant cloud flow. So let's create an instant cloud flow. For that, click on create and select instant cloud flow. Here, if you want, you can provide a flow name here, or else you can also provide in the Flow Studio. So I thought of providing here itself. So I will give here Power Automate string functions and select the flow trigger, that is manually trigger a flow, and click on create. If you wanted to skip the new designer, just toggle the option of new designer option button here. Then it will return back to the classic designer version of Power Automate. Manual trigger flow has been added to the Flow Studio. In the flow trigger, I was going to add the input of text, and after that I will add a new step to add the flow action, that is initialize variable name, type and value here. So I will take here as a name itself, and type as string, and value I will provide the name here. Lydia Holloway. And after that I will take one more step to give the concat function expression, that is compose flow action. Add the expression for concat function and click on the expression. Click expression and add here concat. So before giving concat expression in the compose function, let me explain. Power Automate concat function combines multiple strings into a single string, which means it will combine two text input strings with the spaces, which means it will combine two text input strings or multiple text input strings into a single input string. It will also combine what we have provided exactly. That means if we wanted to combine two text input strings with the spaces, then we also should have to include that spaces. So let me explain you in this example and give the concat. You can take it from here, open brackets. Here I will take the text input that we have given in the manual trigger flow. After that, comma. Within single quotes, I was providing space because concat function will only take what we have provided exactly. So I wanted to include in between these both strings. So I have given the space here. After that, provide comma, and within single quotes, provided comma. After the comma, take the variables. After that, take the variable name here and click on OK. Now let's save the flow and test the flow, and select here in the test flow window manually and click on test. Here I will give the input as hello. So click on run flow. Done. When we open the compose flow action, then it will show the result of concat function. Here I have given hello as a text input, and with the space, it is concatenating the other string, that is Lidio Holloway string. Now I will explain the Power Automate formatDateTime function. Format formatDateTime function will format the datetime values into the desirable format or in a specific format. Or else we can also customize date and time values according to our preference. This is what the Power Automate formatDateTime function will do. So in this example, let me show you 2 to 3 different forms of format dates. So in this example, let me show you 2 to 3 formats of date. So in the manually trigger flow, I have added text. I have added input as trigger date. So I will trigger the date from here. And in the initialize variable, I have taken that trigger date. In the compose, I will give here format date time expression. Click on expression and take format date time. And from the dynamic content, take the take the date variable, and from after the format datetime, take the date variable from the initialize variable. After that, provide comma in single quotes, provide the format for the particular date that we are going to trigger here. So here I gave month, day and year and click on OK. Now save and test the flow. Click on test manually and click on test. Here I will trigger today's date, that is 11th January 2024. Let's see how the date will be formatted and click on run flow. Then and open the compose outputs. We can see here the date is formatted to January 11, 2024. And let me edit the flow and show you one more format. Here only change the format here in the date. In this format, I wanted the customized format of date, that is date, month, year with the time in hours, minutes and seconds. Click on update and again run the flow manually. Here the trigger date will be as same as previous, that is 11th, and run flow. Run the flow. Open the compose outputs. See now it has been formatted to the different format, that is date, month, year with the time. So if you wanted to check for more date time formats in the format date time function of Power Automate, you can check out the description box. There I will provide the link of the article. So let's move to the third function, that is get Power Automate get future time function. There will be some scenarios or requirements in our projects where we need to get the future time. So at that point, this Power Automate get future time will be helpful. It will be useful to add some specific units of the time to the current time step so that it will give us the future time. The time step that we can add in the get future time function will be seconds, minutes, hours, days, week, month, or a year. So that it will give the future time in all these time units. So let me show you this function. So in the same way, I have taken here trigger date as an input, and in the initialize variable, I was initializing the trigger date. In the compose inputs, I was taking the expression for. So I will show you the two examples of time units in get future time function of Power Automate. Like this function will need interval, time unit, and the format. And this format is optional, but interval and time unit is must and required. Format will convert the Format will convert the trigger date or the current time step what we are going to trigger now. So here I will add the expression of get future time. Here we don't need to take the time trigger date because it was already taking current time step. So to the current time step, I was adding 2 days, comma. In the single quotes, I will add day. If necessary, I will take here format. Here I will give format for year, month and date. Year, month, date. So click on OK. Now let's save and run the flow. We'll see the output of get future time function. Save. In the trigger date, you can see today is 11th January 2024. Click run flow. Then this is our result where it will give the future days, that is 13, because we have given here 2 days to add to the current time step. So it gave us 13th January 2024. Similarly, if I take here in the time unit week, and I want here the interval as 1 week, so it will show the future time in 1 week. So this is the output that we'll get after. So this is the output that we will get in Power Automate get future time function, which it will add 1 week to the current time step, and it has returned the value as of value as 18th January 2024, which is adding 7 days to the current time step. So the next function is Power Automate date difference functions. So the next function is Power Automate date difference function, and the date difference function will calculate the time difference between two time steps by subtracting the start date from the end date. And this will also give the result in the form of a string. If you want the result in a if you want the result in number if you want the result in integer value, you should have to convert the string to the integer. For that you can use int function, and The date difference function can extract the difference in days, hours, minutes, and seconds. And it will be in a specific format, that is days dot hours is to minutes, it's to seconds. And one more thing that you should have to be know about this Power Automate date difference function is, if the start date is newer than the end date, it will give the negative value. So it let's implement it in a flow. To explain this example, I need here two dates. So I will take one date in manual trigger flow and one more date in initialize variable. So I will rename it as start date. And in the initialize variable, I will take UTC now. So it will return. In the initialize variable, I will take the expression of UTC now. So it will return the current timestamp. And now in the compose flow action, I will give date difference expression. Here take date difference, and from the dynamic content take the value of trigger date, that is start date, and it should have to be separated with the comma. After that, take the date variable from initialize variable. So click on OK. Here I will add one more compose action to extract the result in days. So take the compose flow action one more. So take one more compose flow action, and in the expression I will give split function because it will split the string. From the dynamic content, take the outputs of the compose. After that, provide comma within single quotes. In the compose to flow action, I have taken split function expression because I wanted to extract the date difference result in days. So click on OK, test the flow, click on save and test. Here I will take 1st of January 2024 as a start date and click run flow. Click on done. When we open the compose outputs, that is first compose action, we can see here the date difference function is returned in a specific format, that is days, hours, minutes, and seconds. So when we open the second compose outputs, it will show only the numerical value as 10, which means it has retrieved or extracted the date difference in days, that is 10 days. And today's date is 11, so it calculated the date difference and returned as 10 days. The difference between the start date and end date is 10 days. So now we are going to discuss about Power Automate addToTime function. addToTime function will be helpful to add specific units of time to the given time step. Like we can add seconds, minutes, hours, days, weeks, months, and year to the time step, so that uh, it will return that particular time step plus specified number of time units. So we'll check the result of add to time function. So now I will give here the expression of addToTime function. addToTime, and I will take the variables of dynamic content that which we are going to trigger, and comma provide the number of intervals. Here I wanted to add 1 day to the current time. So here I wanted to add 1 day time interval to the date which we are going to trigger. So I will take one. After that, within single quotes, take day and provide the format of, and provide your customized format for the date. Here I will take year, month and day. This will the the format of date should be in single quotes, or else it will give the error for you, and click on OK. And now save the flow and test it. Click on test, select manually and test the flow. Here I was going to trigger the date, which will be 20 of January 2024. So the addToTime function should have to give 21st January 2024, and click on run flow, and then now open the compose flow action. See, now we got the required result of us. So now it gave the required result for us, that is 2024 1st January and 21st day of January. Now let's get into the getPastTime. So now let's see about Power Automate getPastTime function, and it is also resembles with Power Automate getFutureTime function, where it will subtract the days or subtract the time of the current time step with the provided time units. So Power Automate getPastTime function will be useful to subtract specific time units from the current time step. That is, the time units can be in any form like seconds, minutes, hours, days, or week, months, years, etc. It will return the past time. It is same as like as get future time function. So it will give the output. So it will give the output. So let me give the get past time function expression here. In the expression, take get past time. Here I wanted to subtract, or else I wanted to get here the past week. So I will give here 1 week. So take the time interval as 1, and within single quotes, week, and take the format of date and click on OK. Save the flow and test it. Click on test and test the flow manually. Here I was going to trigger today's date, which means it should have to get the past 1 week to the today's date, that is 11th January 2024, and click run flow and open the compose flow action. Now you can see the result of getPastTime. It has subtracted 1 week from the current time step and gave us the result. So now let's check on the isFloat function of Power Automate. And this function is used to determine if the given input is a floating point number, which means it will check whether the input what we have provided will be a decimal number which has fractional parts or not. So this function will return true if the provided value has a number with decimal point, or it will return false if the value has no floating point number. So in the manually trigger flow, I have taken text, and in the initialize variable, I was initializing the text. And in the compose flow action, I will give here isFloat function expression and take isFloat, and from the dynamic content, provide the variable of number and click on OK. And click on save and test the flow manually. Click on test. And in the text, I wanted to give here 14.6 as a value and click on run flow. And open and see the compose outputs. It will provide the result as true because we have given the value as 14.6, which have the decimal point number which is fractions, which has the fractional value, and it is a float. So the compose outputs of each float function have returned the true value. Now we will see about format number function in Power Automate. Here the Power Automate format number function will display the numbers in various formats like currency, serial numbers, float, percentage, exponential form, and etc. Here I will show you one example in these formats. Like here I will show you in currency format to format a number. Here I will show you how to format a number in currency format. As usual, I have taken here the input as number and I have initialized that number, and in the compose outputs I will give the expression for format number. Here I wanted to format the number as currency. So to define currency, C format is used in Power Automate, and we can also give currency with decimal places. So to include the decimal places, use the number followed by the C as like I have shown in the expression. So take the expression here for format number and use initialize variable from initialize variable of number. After that, provide comma and within single quotes take C0. Here C0 will represent without any decimal places after the number. I will also show you the decimal numbers. I will also show you the decimal places after the currency. So click on OK. Save and test the flow. For the number to trigger, I was giving 98137. So click run flow. So now you can see in the compose outputs, the output has been returned or formatted the number with two decimal places as a currency format. This is how to format the number in different formats by use. This is how to format the number in different formats, as like I have shown one example on currency format, but if you want you can also check my blog post that I will provide in the description box, so that you will get to know more about the format number formats. So let me explain you the final and last example of Power Automate string function, that is slice function. So I will explain you about the Power Automate slice function. Power Automate slice function is like enhanced version of substring function, whereas substring function differs like with the parameters with start index and length of the string. So it will calculate or extracts a piece of text from between start index and length of the string. But in case of Power Automate slice function, it will perform or extract a piece of a text or a part of a string from the provided text from the start index, piece of a text in between the start index and end index. And the result from Power Automate slice function will be the substring or a part of a text in between the start index and end index. So let me show you the example of this. In the manually trigger flow, I have included the text input here, and in the initialize variable, I was giving Johnny Sherman as a value. If suppose I wanted to extract from the name Johnny Sherman, from this name, if I wanted to extract Johnny, I have to provide here start index and end index. We can use slice function to extract this. So the start index will be, the indexes will be start from 0, which means J will start at 0 position. So let me give the slice expression here. Click take slice, and from the dynamic content include name. After that provide start index and end index. So I wanted Johnny, so I will give here start index as 0 and end index as 4, because Johnny will end at 4, and click on OK. Let's see it will give Johnny or not with the slice function, and click on save. Test the flow. Click manually and test the flow. Open the compose outputs here and see now the Power Automate slice function has extracted the substring Johnny from the Johnny Sherman name. And this is how to use, and this is how to make use of Power Automate string functions during the flows. If you like this video, please like, share and subscribe to our YouTube channel and click on the bell icon for more videos. Thank you. Have a nice day.